This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and it is almost the end of April, so it's been just crazy this month, and I'm very happy to say that we're almost to the summer, and I kind of look forward to it because then I can relax a little bit. I know my kids aren't, there's no assignments that are going to surprise us on Sunday night, and it also gives me time to actually sit back and really catch up on a lot of the reading that I have missed. And so one of the books I would suggest you pick up this summer is A New Mantra. And this is a debut novel by a brand new author to me and to you because she's a debut novelist. Her name is Sapna Srinivasan. No, I know I said that wrong. Tell me again, Sapna, how to say the last name.
Yeah, sure. It's Sapna Srinivasan.
Srinivasan. Okay, I'm going to write this down so I don't mess that up again. Okay, so Sapna lives in Seattle, Washington with her perfectionist husband and perfect daughter. Her name in Hindi means dream, and true to its meaning, Sapna finds gratification in dreams and storytelling. She was born in southern India, raised in northern India, and spent a better part of her life in the United States. She therefore unabashedly clutches to Indian roots while embracing the American in herself. She loves to cook traditional Indian food, and yes, she uses cilantro in practically everything. We're going to get along beautifully for that. When she isn't cooking, writing, or being intellectually stumped by her daughter, she may be found running down the nearest trail by her Pacific Northwest home. The inspiration for her debut novel, A New Mantra, has been her own journey as both a woman of color and a runner, and the latter being a sport that was introduced to her by her husband. You can find her at her website, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Book Club, and Tule Publishing. She is a fellow Tule author, which I'm super excited about. Welcome to the show, Sapna. How's it going today?
Thank you so much for having me. Very exciting.
Absolutely. So you spent, it says here that you've had a lot of time in, you spent most of your up to college years in India mostly, and then came into the United States? Or were you back and forth?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So I did my bachelor's in India from the University of Delhi, and right after I graduated my college there, I got married. I met my husband. It was a traditional Indian arranged marriage. Parents set us up, and I met him, and he felt perfect, and it felt ready, and it felt right, and I got married. So I married young, and then I moved to the United States when I was 21.
Okay. And you had all that going on. So I know that a lot of people still talk about, a lot of people still talk about the traditional Indian marriage and arranged marriages. I know this can be relatively foreign to a lot of people who don't have that in their culture. So when people ask you about it, what is the most common question that they ask?
I think the one that I've had a few questions asked about it, and I absolutely agree. It's something very foreign outside of, cultures that have that when you move to the West. When I moved to the West, that was one of the top questions I got. And the main one is, why would you do that?
Sure.
And I think the reason for that question is very, very fair, I think, because the setup of an arranged marriage is you don't really know the person you're marrying. Your parents set you up and you meet them, and in a short period of time, for me it was 30 minutes, you decide whether or not you want to spend the rest of your life with that person. And that is the construct of an arranged marriage. And so naturally, that I feel like that is a question that, that people are bound to ask. And that is the one that I get the most is, why would you do something like that? That's crazy.
Well, but you're talking about, I live in the United States, but every country has their own culture. And so there is, I think, in some ways, and maybe I'm just making it very simple, but there is always influence within families of who you marry. So this is just a different part of that. It's just a different level of that, I would think.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
But it is nice that, you talk about, it's worked out so beautifully. It's kind of a classic happily ever after type situation that you have, and that's always wonderful. And with any couple meet, and it's just so wonderful. And so you moved to the United States. Were you always in the Pacific Northwest, or did you guys move around at all?
Yeah, so when I got married and came to the U.S., actually, I came to Boston. That's where my feet landed. And so I lived there for 3 years. I think it was about three and a half years maybe. And I went to college there. I went to Boston College and got a master's degree. I was still young, I was 21. So I got a master's in elementary education from BC. And then my husband actually, when he got the job at Microsoft, then we decided, let's do Seattle. Seattle's awesome. And so we decided to move to Seattle.
Right. Yeah. Oh, just like you went to two extremes, like each coast. But about the same latitude. So I guess you're familiar with the weather, so you didn't have to worry about if you had the right clothes to start off. You had sweaters.
Right. Yes. And I can tell you, I've seen snow. So the weather in Boston is just, of course, I'm sure you know this, and it's so when I sort of look at snow versus rain, I would take Seattle weather any day of the week and twice on Sundays. I prefer rain to snow. It's just easier to handle for me personally. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we rarely get snow in San Antonio, Texas, but we have, we have gotten some the past few years. But rain, we get plenty of awful big thunderstorms. So I get it. When you were in Boston, what were some of your favorite places to go hang out? Because my very good friend lived in Boston for a while, and I went up there one year because we were heading to Maine, and she was showing me all around, and there's all these wonderful little neighborhoods and places to eat. I mean, there's no way you could eat everything you wanted to on one trip. I mean, you'd be so gluttonous. It's ridiculous. But what are some of the favorite spots that you would love to go visit or love to go hang out?
Yeah, I was lucky in that so my husband had like a whole map of ideas as far as, what he wanted to show me. He'd been in the U.S. longer than I had. And so when I arrived, we spent a good portion of our first couple of years, just traveling. And like you said, you're absolutely right, is that a lot of places can be reached in a short road trip from Boston. And so one of my favorite ones was Newport. I absolutely loved touring the Newport mansions. It was amazing, and so that's probably one of my favorite ones that I did. But we, in general, did a lot of short road trips to Salem, and we did Maine, and we did pretty much Rhode Island. Everything that could be covered in a short road trip from Boston, we did it. So it was fun.
Did you hop the train at all? Did you take the train at all?
You mean like the commuter rail train?
Well, the train, and also from state to state, because you can jump out the rail up there, and then you can head to New York or DC, or there's so many places you can go on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we did more. I think we flew wherever we flew, but otherwise we would just do those longer drives. I don't think funnily enough, I don't think we did a whole lot of rail tours. Yeah, oddly enough, now that I think about it. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to travel too. Because it, like, I would go visit my friend every year up there in Maine, and I kept killing myself trying to fly to Portland. And you have to sometimes at least two legs of your flight. And so she finally said, why don't you just fly to Boston, and I'll just meet you there. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then we just took the train back to Portland. It's so easy. It's like, wow. We drive everywhere. Like, you have to have a car. You drive everywhere. So it's crazy. So that opportunity is not there for us yet. Hopefully soon we'll have trains. More trains. That would be cool. Okay, so you have your elementary education. You, in that time period, like say in the next 10 years after you come to the United States, you have your daughter.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And then, you're doing the mom thing and you're all this other stuff. When does writing a book, gel in your brain? And then what was the catalyst to make you sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to write this?
Yeah, that's a great question. The honest truth is I've been a writer longer than I knew it. You know what I mean? I started to write when I was much younger. I was about maybe 8, 9 years old. I would just write stories, and I would just write them down in my diary with no real goal as far as, I'm going to do this with this story when I'm done. At that age, you're not really thinking about beyond that action, what you're doing, what you're engaging in at that moment. And so I used to write stories, and I would share it with people. And so I have to say that I've just instinctively turned to writing to express myself. And it was just more of a method of expressing my emotions when things were beyond, when my emotions, especially if I couldn't understand them. And when you're a child, you go through, phases where you feel like you're internalizing more emotions than you're expressing. And I was one of those kids. I was very self-aware, and I was absorbing a lot of information around me, people's emotions. And so I tended to think more about, people's emotions and how people react to me, or how I'm, my place in, in the greater scheme of things. And so I was processing a lot in my head. I was the sort of kid that processed a lot inside her head, but didn't talk about it as much. And so I naturally pivoted toward writing stories as a way of expressing myself. And so that instinct has just always been alive inside me. And so while I was juggling being a mom and doing my day job and all of that, I think there were pockets in my day and in my life when that instinct would kind of come over me, and I would just put pen to paper and just go with the flow. I've just been that kind of person who just goes with instinct, goes with intuition. When I feel it, I just act on it. And I think that being said, it wasn't planned. I didn't have a map, as far as, I'm going to write this book by this time. I just went with that instinct, and that's basically how I've always been when it comes to writing.
Right. So when you decided you're going to do this, to actually sit down and write this story that's probably been brewing in your head for quite some time, as it tends to go, where did you find the information to know how to not only write, but to submit and market? Because all those are totally different venues that you need to know for being a writer.
You are so right about that. And I think part of being a writer, there's a difference between being a writer. To me, if you write a story, if you express yourself through words on paper, you're a writer. But I think being an author is just a totally different ballgame. I think when you write, you just write in the comfort of a bubble. You're not really looking to impress. You're just writing. You're just going with the flow of your feelings and what those instincts again. But then being an author is different. Being an author means you're actually showcasing your work, you're taking it out to the world, people are reviewing it, you have to market it. So to answer your question, Patricia, the first part, again, was just instinctive. I didn't take any courses or anything. I've never taken a writing course other than what I learned in school about comprehension and writing passages and things like that. I didn't really take any courses. I just acted on, I think for me, the way I've always told a story is the way I've wanted to hear a story being told to me. I just always try to picture what would I want to hear? Like if I was sitting by a fireside listening to a story, how would I want it how would I want that narrated to me or told to me? And so I just naturally tended to write the way I would want to read a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from that, when it sort of morphed into something bigger than I'd imagined, which is basically this book deal and then, the whole series, which I hadn't really, honest to God, I hadn't planned it. I hadn't thought about it. I had never imagined that would happen. So when it did happen, I think I just, I tried to research because I had to now it wasn't about instinct. Now it was about practical doing and, doing due diligence. And so I owed it to myself to do research. And I researched a lot about, what do you do when you've written a book? Do you take it, and so I pitched my book to an editor at a writing conference, and from that came the book deal. And then from there, the community that I'm part of, the Thule community, is just amazing authors, amazing support group. And so I learned a lot from just listening to them, reading emails, and of course the research. And so I gathered more information on how to market it, how to, build a website. I didn't have a website. So just, the A to Z, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning the ropes. But yeah, for that part, I had to do more of the research and break away from instinct and just make a to-do list and go down that list, I guess.
Right. I was even meeting with some writer friends last night, and we were saying, okay, so what's working for you now? And we've all been doing this for well over a decade, and everything changes so quickly, with whether it be social media or where you post or what's working, and it also depends on the genre of book you're writing, and is it this? And so what demographic are you going for? And so it's just a constant moving target. And to have a community, like you're saying, of the Thule authors, which anyone who's listened to the show knows I adore my fellow Thule authors. It's one of those things where you can throw something up there and say, hey, I need help with this. Someone will do it. Like, someone will help. And that's huge. Because you don't get that in every single creative group. You just don't.
True.
So it's a good thing to have. So you've got this.
Agreed.
So tell me about a new mantra. Tell me about this book. Yeah.
So a new mantra is basically, it's a story of redemption. It's a story of self-discovery. And the main protagonist, my heroine, Mira Sood, is basically what happens in that, what the sort of the trigger that kicks the story into motion is she is a quote unquote good Indian housewife. She's been bred to be that person. She's been told that is her goal in life is to be a good Indian housewife. And what that entails is to clean and keep a good house and support her husband and all of his dreams. And she's all right with that. She's been boxed into it, and she's as they say, comfortably numb in that situation up until her husband tells her that he's having an affair and he wants a divorce. And now all of a sudden, this world that was created for her essentially through an arranged marriage falls apart. This is like all her eggs are in one basket, and that basket is now just vaporizes. And so that is sort of the trigger point. That basically gets the story in motion. And so the basic narrative arc here is just how she has to now rebuild her life, and in the process, she just impulsively signs up for a half marathon, and while training for it, and she's never run in her life, right? We're picturing this good Indian housewife who's done nothing beyond caring for her husband and her family. She's never done anything for herself. She's never been, she's never thought outside the box, outside of that precinct. And so all of a sudden, now she just impulsively, as she's rebuilding her life, she just feels this moment of weakness, and she just goes for this thing that happens to come her way. And in that process of training for her half marathon comes this second chance at love, and that is in the form of a white American guy named Andy Fitzgerald. And he's this sweet, amazing, supportive guy, who comes her way. But the only problem is she's trying to, salvage her image in her community, which is shattered by her divorce. You don't get divorces
right.
in an traditional Indian community like hers. Now, it's bad enough that happens. Now, how can she now bring this guy in saying, oh, I'm now going to love this guy? No. So that's sort of the dilemma. And so the book basically tries to capture her journey and, tries to capture how and if she is going to find a way to, discover herself and whether or not she's going to give love a second chance. But to do that, she's going to have to be braver than she was in the past. It's going to force her out of her box. And so that's the challenge that she has, basically.
And that's a hard one, isn't it? When we kind of get knocked down so hard, it's just like, man, I just don't know if I could. Because we build ourselves back up and like, man, if I fall again, I'm done. And hopefully a lot of us are able to get up. It may take longer the second time. It may take less time because we may put up with less. You never know, speaking from my own experience before I met my husband. But it's interesting, the dynamic that seems to always be in any like self-discovery story is how am I going to make this work with the people around me who are expecting something completely different than what I want to do now. So. Exactly. And change is hard. And I think that's part of the growth journey for all of us. And also for Rira is that change is hard and change requires us to be brave and take some big steps. And that's going to ruffle feathers. And so it's not an easy thing to do, for sure. Yeah, no, it's not. Not at all. But I, applaud anybody who does it because it's a hard thing. Yep. So, anybody listening, just know that, this book's for you to get right now. And yes, I have links in the write-up of the show for you to find it. And so this is the first book of 4, right? That's correct. Yep. There are 3 more in the series all lined up. So, I can't imagine. So you've got, let's see, a Rebels mantra that comes out in July, and then you have a mantra from Is Perfect that comes out January of next year, and a homecoming mantra we're still waiting to see when that will be released. But, when you got that contract, what was your feeling when they called and said, okay, we're sending you the contract for this? It was like, what? You felt like you got electrocuted or something, huh? It's like, this is so exciting. Yeah, it was, I can tell you, it was surreal because, first of all, when I pitched the book at the conference, I of course, I went in with a positive attitude, and I was like, I'm going to give this my best shot, but you know what? I'm going to be realistic here. What are the chances, right? And of course, I did some research and saw the statistics. I probably shouldn't have done that before pitching the book, but I did, and the statistics aren't great. They're not. No, I shouldn't have done that, but I did. And so it wasn't a very compelling argument in my favor, but I just went in there and I swung hard. And so when I got the email and the calls, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I literally had to keep pace with the way things were flowing. Yeah. And so it started off with a 2-book contract, and as I was talking to my editor, my amazing, amazing editor, Sinclair, and she was like, we want you to do book 1, we want you to do book 2, and I was like, whoa, wow, really? You want me to write another one? And then that morphed into, that in itself was amazing, and then it morphed into 3 and 4, and I was like, oh, I don't even recognize my life anymore. It's just, this has got to be a dream. This is a wonderful feeling. It's a really wonderful feeling. So you've got all that you're going now. How is your daughter? Is she in high school? Is she graduated? Is she middle school? Where is she? In her brain, I think she is in college, but in reality, she's 9.5. She's 9.5. So she is much older, much wiser. Yeah.
she's the sort of child. She's I'm very lucky that way because I'm surrounded by people who are wise and amazing and beautiful inside out, and I get to learn from them every day. And so she is one of those people that just keeps me going, and she's very, very wise for her years. I'm proud to say, and this is not just me being mom. Moms always say that about their kids, but
sure,
I really do mean it. She'll say things to me that makes, that will sometimes make me stop and be like, the other day I was just stressing about something, and she's like, Mom, just take a belly breath. And I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I should do that. I should take a belly breath. Yeah. So,
I think moms should do that
awesome.
more often than we allow ourselves.
Oh, that's so true. I agree. I do agree. We need that reminder, I feel like there needs to be a manual override because we're just going so fast and we're always putting family first. It's just the instinct. But I think we need to override that instinct every once in a while to take that belly breath at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I was telling my friends last night, we were talking about Mother's Day is coming up, and my husband, he gets stressed out because he's like, I don't know what to get you because I'm, I don't, and I said, and so one year he said, what do you want? And I looked at him. It was one of those moments where I just thought, I'm just going to tell him what I really, really want. And I said, I want no one to want anything from me for 12 hours. So I want to.
Wow, I love it.
I would like breakfast. I would like breakfast in bed, and then I want no one to need anything from me until bedtime. And so he's like, really? I said, yes, that is what I want. And that's what happened.
That's a hard one.
It was the most blissful day ever. I sat in my jammies all day and watched TV, and nobody bothered me, and it was fantastic.
Amazing.
And I got the idea from my mom because one year she was just really maxed, and there was 3 of us, and I have 4, and so my dad lives in Houston. He's like, okay, kids, everyone get in the car. We're going down to Galveston. We're going to the beach for the day. And she stayed home, and she was by herself all day. And he came back, and he's like, are you all right? She's like, yep, I'm great. I just needed everyone to leave.
That's hilarious.
So
that
okay.
is so funny.
Give yourself that space. It's okay. I promise.
So yes, that's so true. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And like you're saying, I don't think we allow ourselves those moments as much as we probably should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is absolutely true. I think you're right. And you're so right because that does happen. I think every mom can relate to that, is where they constantly hear, Mom, 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 Mom. It's very natural, and we respond to it, and it happens, but we just don't realize that we need those pockets of just complete peace where we have that moment and we can just do whatever, read a book, do nothing, just look out the window. Just it's wonderful. I love that. That's a good one. I might steal that one this year.
Yeah, use it. Anybody out there, you use it. You can make it 16 hours, 24. I don't care. So just do it for yourself. It's interesting though, because we do that and we say we need space, and then there's other times as a mom, for me, I'm like, did I not teach you this? I don't understand. I thought I taught you this. So it's like you have to find a balance.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's way off kilter. So you've got your book, and please tell me you've got these wonderful recipes in there, because I really, cilantro I love, but you've got really wonderfully rich recipes in this, and that you're talking about food, because food is one of those things that it doesn't matter what culture you're in, you can always everybody can always come together over a really great meal. So tell me something that you wanted to make sure was in your book, a meal or a recipe.
Yeah. And I agree with you in that. I honestly, one of the reasons I put all those recipes on there is because personally, I love to cook. For me, I love to cook for my family, and it's just the sort of it's sort of an outlet for me where when I cook and I feed my family, I just feel this sort of, I feel really good that day. And so that was part of the instinct. And then one of the things that I wanted to put in there was just comfort food. So like the tikka masala or the biryani, things like that have it's just comfort food in Indian culture. It's just what what my family would make, you know, on a rainy day when everyone's tired. You know, that's the sort of food that would bring us together, get us around the dinner table, get us talking, connect. And so I wanted to put recipes in there. They're not like, you know, over the top crazy, but just things that a family would want to eat, the kind of dishes that would bring a family together. That was really the goal. And I really just went with my heart. I just put the recipes down there that I would like to cook for my family, that my family loved to eat, and that I love to eat. And so, yeah, I just, again, for that one too, I went with my instinct.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because it's not just the food. I mean, we all know that because food's wonderful, but it's the whole memory. And then it's kind of like my grandmother was from the Deep South, and she would fry everything. You know, we had this cast iron skillet, so everything. Anybody knows, you know, you started with a cast iron skillet, a scoop of lard, and then you decided what you were going to make. So, you know, the cast iron skillet went to, like, I think my mom got the cast iron skillet, and then she had this little thing that she was a warmer, and it's just a little oval thing. And we were doing an estate sale, and my brother was walking through the kitchen like the night before everything went on, and he saw it. He's like, hey, how did we miss this? You know? And it's probably aluminum. It's probably like really bad for us to have any food in, but he bought down $5 and took it. But it's that memory of her standing in the kitchen and putting it in there, the shrimp or the potatoes she fried or the whatever. And it's that whole layering. Like if you see the recipe card, if you see the towel or the dishes. I mean, you know, even if you are walking somewhere and you're like, oh, my grandma used to have dishes like this. You know, I mean, it's just all of that sensory. And it just layers and layers and layers. And so that food just ties it all together. So good.
Absolutely.
So yummy.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and it's very similar to Indian culture because, you know, those are like those trigger points because if I smell something or if I even hear like a sizzling sound, sometimes it just connects to a memory, and it oftentimes is just, you know, when we were younger and we were those formative years. For me especially, I would always, you know, like when I would come back from school, and if I had any, you know, if I had like a big test or, you know, my grandmother would deep fry things for me, and she would cook these things for me that would, you know, like samosas and things like that. And it's just a memory of that. And of course with grandmothers, I think we all have, you know, I bet we've heard stories or had those experiences where, you know, our grandmothers would tell us a story while they cook. It's a very that sort of thing happens a lot in Indian culture, and I'm sure it does as well, you know, in the American South as well, I'm sure for you, Patricia, you know, where, you know, you talk, and that's sort of the almost like a ticket to, you know, open conversation. And my mom and grandmother would, you know, they would, as they were deep frying the samosa, they would say, you know, when I was young, this would happen and that would happen. And it's just a warming feeling. And for me, I totally agree, is that a lot of memory is attached to that as well.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, now, you know, my brain is just on fire because it's just going through all these different things that, like my great grandmother, I had the gift of her being around till I was 19, and she made mashed potatoes, and my mom kept trying to figure out why my great grandmother's mashed potatoes were so good. And I stayed with my great grandmother all the time, and so she's like, okay, so next time she makes potatoes, go in there and watch her make them because I got to know what she's doing. And you know, I'm like 4, and I'm like, I don't know, she uses a glass to mash the potatoes because she would take a glass, and she didn't want to, her arthritis, she couldn't hold a mixer. So she would just use a glass to smash it, but it turns out she used mayonnaise. She used Hellman's mayonnaise in her potatoes.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
They
and
all
now
have
I'm like,
their secrets.
No, that's okay. No mayonnaise, please.
Yeah.
Thanks. So the second book, the Rebel Mantra. So tell me, is this a continuation of characters within the first book, or is this a completely separate group of people that you're writing about?
Yeah, so all of the books in the series are connected in that
Okay.
the character in book 2 features in book 1. So the character in book 2, the heroine, the main protagonist, Layla Sood, is Mira's cousin, who's the complete opposite of her, right? She is a rebel. She is a rock star by profession, but she's also a rock star in her mind, is that she doesn't care at all about these traditions and customs, and she cannot understand why Mira would subject herself to that. And so I wanted to put a sort of polar opposite spin on, the sequence of books. I didn't want it to be another character similar to Mira. I wanted the second book to sort of feature a strong heroine, just like Mira. Mira was strong in her own way, but I wanted the heroine in book 2 to be someone different from her personality-wise, and Layla just organically happened where I felt like, oh yeah, she should be in book 2. I think book 2 should be about Layla Sood, and essentially book 2 is about how it's sort of an opposite scenario almost, where Layla just does what she wants. She doesn't really care about culture or customs or any of that, and she gives her family a really hard time, and she just does what she wants. She just goes with her heart. She doesn't compromise. So then what happens when she meets this traditional, quote unquote, every Indian mother's dream as far as a future son-in-law kind of guy? He's a doctor, he's good looking, he's got money, he comes from an affluent Indian American family in Seattle. He is the kind of guy that every Indian mother would want for their daughter to marry. And so in Layla's books, this guy should not be anywhere, like she should not have anything to do with him, right? He is the opposite of what she would go for, because she's not a traditionalist. But then, what happens when the chemistry sort of starts to bubble up between them? So that's sort of the story in book 2 is, what does she do then? Like, what are you going to do if chemistry bubbles up where you're not expecting it to? And it's sort of an opposite spin on, some of the things that come up in book 1. It's sort of a little different take on those things in book 2, essentially.
Well, and it is. It's I think sometimes when we don't expect it. It's just one of those like, oh, wow, hold on, and those are some of the most fun, passionate stories. When the characters have no interest. It's like, no, thank you. And you're like, well, guess what? It will happen.
Exactly.
You will like it.
Exactly.
You won't admit you like it right now, but you will.
Exactly.
And then you have book 3 is A Mantra for Miss Perfect. And is that another cousin or a sister?
Yes. So it's another cousin. So the Sood family is this large, traditional Indian American family, so lots of cousins. And so Sapna Sood is the main heroine in book 3, and she features in book 1, and she also features in book 2, and she is the quintessential perfect overachieving cousin, right? And she is basically, she checks all the boxes. She's beautiful. She respects her traditions. She respects the elders in the family. She does everything that, her mom wants her to, her Indian American mom with all of those traditional views and everything. But the only thing for Sapna, unfortunately, is that she's been unlucky in love. That's the only box that she hasn't been able to check for no fault of hers. She's just not able to find that Mr. Right. And so book 3 is basically about how she's challenged by that. She's got everything. Technically, she should be happy. She's technically got that perfect life, but with this piece missing, and this is a huge piece in Indian culture, is if you're not married, what is all of this for? It almost negates all of the other things that she has achieved, and so that's basically the book goes through her journey and her meeting this guy, Ryan Mehra, he's half Indian, he's half American, his mom's American, his dad's Indian, and so he has the potential to help her check that box, but she needs to overcome some of her own challenges and sort of fight a few of her own demons to make that happen. And so that's her challenge in book 3.
So when you were plotting this out and you were seeing all these different characters as you're writing, is it kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that for this character later? So just like you have a notepad and kind of write or post it. Do you just put them to the side and say, come back to this later for this character? How do you organize them all?
I've been lucky in that first of all, I wanted the characters in the various books to have some connectivity. I know some authors are okay with having each book be different and be separate, and that's awesome. But I'm one of those people that I feel like I need to have some connectivity. I'm sort of a little bit more. I'm hung up on that a little bit. I shouldn't. So I wanted to have that, but I was lucky in that the characters, as I developed them and as the story flowed, I felt like it happened organically for me. And so Layla just surfaced in book 1 as the natural second heroine for book 2. And then, but as I was writing book 1, and Sahana comes up in book 1 as well, it did cross my mind that I should maybe sort of tailor her character with possibly with the future possibility that she might be a heroine in one of the books down the line.
Right.
So I try to do it. I do take notes on the side as well, so I remember why I did that or why I, sort of had her say something or not say something, because you don't want them to be too outside the box. You want them to be relatable, and so even the sub-characters in the book, if I mean to put them in their own book down the line, I need them to be, relatable, and so I try to do that as I write, and I also take notes, and some of it for me happened organically as well. Nice.
It's nice when your characters are considerate and actually like talk to you and tell you what they're going to do. Because there's always some that fight you, and it's nice to have people that understand what you're saying. They don't feel like they need to call someone to help you out. I'm like, no, really, they are. They're talking to me. Don't worry. So I'm sure you're like, yes, I know exactly what's going on. So what is on your to-be-read pile? What are you reading right now?
Yeah. I'm sadly, I haven't been reading as much as I would like, but one of the things I've got on my to-be-read pile is Moon Witch Spider King by Marlon James. I'm seeing this on a lot of reading lists, and I'm just really curious to get my hands on this book. I wanna give that one a try. Also, I've seen Book Lovers by Emily Henry come up a lot. I'm curious about that one. That sounds like such an awesome story. So those are the two that I have on my list to read. Yeah. Hopefully I'll get to it soon.
Right. Do you get a chance to even sit down and watch TV at all?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I swear to you, I cannot remember the last time I actually sat myself down in front of the TV. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing at this point. There was a time when I used to binge watch shows on my telly, and I honestly cannot remember the last time I sat down to actually watch a show. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because everything's, app-based now, and I watch stuff on my phone, but not for a whole lot. And I don't do it very long, maybe, 30 minutes, just catch a quick, episode here and there. But, life's just moving really fast. That's probably one reason why,
Well, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Of course. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's been so wonderful.
Well, for everybody who's listening, I've been talking to Sapna Srinivasan. Is that I say it right?
Perfect.
Yay. Because I phonetically spelled it out for myself right there. So Sapna Srinivasan, and her book is out now, A New Mantra. The next book will be out in July, and the next book will be out in January 2023, and then the fourth book will be out after that, of course. But you can pick it up. You can go to her website. I've got her Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Book Club, and her Tulane Publishing page, all in the links of the write-up of the show as well as the book. And so if people want to reach out to you, check her out on her website and ask her if she might, come and talk to your book club too. She's got her info on there. So check her out and definitely come back. Please come back and talk to us again when your next one's coming out.
Thank you. I'd love to. Thank you.
Yay! And this has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. Stay safe, everybody, and keep on reading.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.